Chapter 24, verse 18, Surah An-Nur. What is God saying? Chapter 24, verse 18. What is God telling us here? He says what? وَيُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ لَكُمُ الْآيَاتِ وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ حَكِيمٌ. And God clarifies the verses to you, for God is omniscient and wise. He didn't say Muhammad clarifies the verses. No. He had already told you, Inna alayna bayanahu. So now God is telling you in chapter 24, verse 18, explicitly, and God clarifies the verses. He didn't say a verse. He didn't say ayah. Ayah is just one. He says ayati. That is the verses. He used the word وَيُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ لَكُمُ. There is adatul tarif. Lakumul, alif and the lam. Then he says ayati. So the verses, all the verses of the Quran is God to clarify for you, nobody else. Right? So now, Wallahu alimun hakim, and for God is omniscient and wise. Simple. Now we can see clearly that God is the one to clarify the book to us. Nobody else. Nobody has to use his assumption and say this means this, that means that. Let's go and ask God himself. Now, so to put that aside, it applies in all languages. So I give you some few examples before we move on to the lectures. What applies to all languages? Now, what I'm trying to say is this literal and non-literal meanings. It applies to all languages. So what you need to do is, the one who originally gave you any book or context or whatever statement you have to ask him for clarity to be able to tell you what he originally meant. Just like if I'm sitting here, you are sitting there, and number 6 is written in between me and you. You are there, I'm here, and number 6 is written. I didn't write it, you didn't write it. Now, automatically, I will see it as number 6. You over there will see it as number 9. Now, we can keep arguing till the day of judgment and nobody will know what is the truth. The only way we can find the truth is going back to the original person who wrote that number and left. We go and ask him, what number did you initially write? So if he tells us it is number 9, argument ends. If he tells us it's number 6, argument ends. There is no way you can be standing on your opinion again and saying, oh, I still think it's number 9. You become an arrogant person. Simple. So let's see the evidence. Now, so when we go literal and non-literal meanings, I give an example of the language here. The country I am in, Finland, they speak Finnish language. That's the Suomi, Finnish language, right? So I'm giving you some few examples to just show you how complicated a literal meaning of a word and non-literal meaning can be when you are trying to study a language or a language barrier of a certain document or important file. Now, in Finnish language, there are some words, right? For instance, when we say ma ilma, right? Non-literal meaning, it means the world or world. The non-literal meaning, it means world. But if you are going to use the literal meaning, it means earth, air, the air we breathe. It means earth, air. That is the literal meaning of ma ilma in Finnish language. But you don't expect to just take a book when it's written in Finnish language and you don't study Finnish language and you just take it and you say, oh, I'm going to translate this word and put it into a language for other people to understand. You'll be speaking rubbish because whatever you'll be saying will not make sense. You go and write an official document and say, and I just translated a Finnish language and it says F-A. Who will be reading F-A and understand you are talking about the world? The non-literal meaning of ma ilma in Finnish language is world. Ma ilma, world. Listen carefully. But if you are going to use the literal meaning, it means earth, air. When you're translating it directly, it's earth, air. Right? You see the complications. So you need to understand the literal meaning of a words in a particular language and the non-literal meanings of words in a particular language. You don't just come out and say, oh, just because the Finns are using this for that word, which means they are wrong. That you are not in your right senses when you do that. You get the point. Now, for instance, again, there's another word in the Finnish language. It's called ilma pallo. Ilma pallo. Ilma pallo. This word means balloon. The non-literal meaning, it means balloon. But if you are going to translate the literal meaning of that word, it means air ball. air ball, because when you take it, you blow the air inside and it becomes like a ball. So this is the literal meaning of it, air ball. Now, assuming if you are translating this word, you don't understand the language very well, and you are translating this word, and you take the ilma pallo, and you just write for people who want to understand Finnish language, and you write air ball. They'll be asking you, what is air ball? What do you mean by air ball? What is that? You get the point. Now, you need to understand the basis of a language through the owner of the one who gave you whatever document or file or message you are reading. Ask him the question and he will answer it clearly to you. Then we have a word called maapallo. Maapallo in Finnish language, it means, the non-literal meaning, it means globe. Globe, the world atlas you are seeing, the round globe, right? That's what it means. Maapallo. Maapallo. But when you translate it by the literal meaning, it means earth ball. The earth we live in, earth ball. That's what it means. So if you go and write an official document, by translating it and put earth ball, you cause contradictions and complications for people to understand. Then again, there is another word in Finnish language. They say kana lihalla. Kana lihalla. This kana lihalla, right? If you want to translate it non-literally, it means goosebumps. To have goosebumps on the skin, like goosebumps, like when you're feeling some intense emotions or something, you get goosebumps. It's called kana lihalla. But when you bring the literal translations of it, it becomes on chicken meat. On chicken meat. Does it make sense? It doesn't make sense. Right? So similarly, we have people trying to delve into the Quran to bring out certain meanings just to cause complications. Right? Because they refuse to go back to the roots to trying to understand the Arabic context of what God is saying first before they translate it. So you find out that most of them don't even have knowledge or basis in understanding the Quran, Arabic Quran itself, but yet they want to base their arguments on the English translations, and which is very ridiculous. Now, you go back again, I use Hausa language to give you an example. I speak Hausa language. In Africa, there's some countries speak Hausa language. Now, in Hausa language, if we are going to translate certain statements or words from Hausa to English, I'm going to show you some of the complications. If you say kashe fitilan nang, kashe fitilan nang, right? Kashe fitilan nang. If we are going to translate it non-literally, non-literal meaning of it, it will be switch off the lamp. Switch off the lamp. But if I want to translate it literally, I will say kill the lamp. Kill the lamp. It doesn't make sense. You get it? If I'm translating it to English language to make it sensible for other people to read Hausa language and understand from the translation, I'll just go and write kill the lamp. It doesn't make sense. You get it? So you have to switch off from the literal meaning to go to the non-literal meaning so that people can comprehend the message. This is how it goes. So now I'll come to a point whereby I'm taking you through all this just to give you an example of the idea of the complications going on. People trying to formulate new meanings in the Quran, and yet if you find out they don't even speak or understand or read Arabic, but yet they want to give their judgment on such issues. Now, secondly, there is another word in Hausa language. You say bayangida. Bayangida is used for non-literal meaning. It means toilet. Toilet. That is non-literal meaning of bayangida or bangida. Now, when you say toilet, if you want to give the literal meaning of what I just said, bayangida, it means behind the house. Behind the house. But in Hausa language, this is used for toilet. Right? So now if you want to translate for somebody that this guy went to the toilet, and then you are translating from Hausa to English, and you are using only literal meaning to understand the language, you go and translate to him that he went behind the house. To do what? To plant seeds? Or do what? You see, it doesn't make sense. Then again, there is another word saying zanyi bachi. Zanyi bachi. Or zani bachi. Or zanyi bachi. Now, when you take the non-literal meaning of this statement I just said, it means I am going to sleep. That is the non-literal meaning. I am going to sleep. But if I have to use the literal meaning of what I just said, it means I'm turning black. Or I want to make black. It doesn't make sense. So if you don't go to the roots to understand the Hausa grammar, How can you be able to translate for an English speaker to understand clearly what the Hausa word was meant for? You get the point? So it baffles me when I see people who cannot even read one sentence of Arabic language, and yet they tell you they want to tell you that, these guys are trying to be contradiction. This word doesn't mean this. This word doesn't mean. Look at somebody who only read translations. He's trying to argue